Hi everyone, I'm Jade. What we're talking about today is some language and phrases you can use for your English CV or your covering letter if you want to apply for jobs. So we're going to break it down and you can put together the different pieces to make a CV that reflects you. So what we're going to talk about first of all is the personal summary. In a British English CV, it's become fairly common to have a personal summary, and this is 1 or 2 sentences that show what kind of job you're looking for and then give a little bit extra information. So this is going to be part 1 of the personal summary. And when we come back, I'll show you the rest of the personal summary. So here are some different adjectives you might want to use. Choose which one fits the job or explains you best. Some of these adjectives are more suitable for some kind of jobs. The idea to make a really good CV or covering letter is to tailor it to every job. And that means that you change it slightly so that when you're applying for a job, you can make it what they're looking for. So I would suggest to you that you change your personal summary for every job just to make it more perfect for that job. So we'll go through these adjectives. Experienced, organised, proactive. I'm not going to explain what they all mean, just ones that I think you might not know. Proactive, this means that you don't wait for somebody to tell you what to do. You know what to do and you just go ahead and do it. So you're a proactive person. A conscientious person, it's quite hard to say, isn't it? Conscientious. Well, first of all, it's a K sound. Conscientious. That's a person who cares a lot about how they do their work. So you try to do everything right because you actually care. You're a conscientious person. An ambitious person is someone who wants to get up there, wants to do really well. An adaptable person is someone who can be in this situation, that's fine, no problem. Another day I can be working with this different bunch of people, that's no problem for me. You can be doing different things and it's not going to stress you out. You're not going to be in a bad mood because you're an adaptable person. We also use some of these compound adjectives in the world of CV language because they sound quite smart. You might be a results-orientated person. That's another way of saying that you're quite a driven person. You care about being successful. Perhaps you're in a sales job and you've got targets. You always want to reach your targets, therefore you're a results-orientated person. And what if you are a self-motivated person? That means you don't need your boss saying, hey, great job. You can get on with the job yourself and you know what to do in your job. Some jobs are going to want someone who's polite. If you're facing customers, it's often a strength to be polite. So do any of these fit you and the kind of job you want to apply for? If they do, take this as a building block for your personal summary. Then you can either put the job that you have done or the job that you do now, TEFL teacher, or maybe you're a programmer, maybe you're a waitress, maybe you're an administrator. Administrator is a more formal word than saying office worker. We don't really say that on CVs. We'd say administrator. If you don't want to use the job title, here are some other alternatives. You could be a leader looking for a management role. You could be a problem solver. If you're in a fix in your company, you're the one who's got all the ideas and the solutions about what to do. That's necessary and highly desired in many jobs. Perhaps you're a great team player. You're really good working with other people. Or maybe you're a self-starter. This one I always think sounds quite clever. It means You don't need your manager always giving you work. You just do what needs to be done. You don't need to be checked on all the time. I would say though, if you've already used a compound adjective here, don't use a compound noun because it's like a little bit too many hyphens going on. It's a little bit extra. So we've now got the first building block. We've got the second building block. Now we need a verb. You could use any of these verbs. Seeks. We're talking about you in the third person here. So this is why we've got S here. Seeks is a more formal way of saying looking for. Desires is a different way of saying wants. And we could say in search of. Looking for, another way, but slightly more formal. So here are the different kinds of job you might be looking for. So choose something here that reflects the kind of job you're applying for. Perhaps it's really important to you that you're looking for a full-time role. That means that you work 40 hours a week if you're in the UK. Maybe you're looking for a permanent job. So that's one that's not on a short contract. Perhaps you're looking for a corporate job. You want to work for a very big brand and you want to wear an office to work, wear a suit to work. Or maybe you want a challenging job. That's better than saying, what's the thing people say sometimes? The challenge is good. Oh, I'll have to come back to you on that one because I've forgotten at the moment. And then you follow it with a noun. Role is another word for job. Position is another word for job or job. So then you put it all together, and that's part one of your personal summary. So just as an example, organized programmer desires permanent position is an example. And in a minute, I am going to remember what I was talking about there, but I'll tell you when I come back. I've remembered. So I said to you, challenging is a good word to use on your CV. A similar word is demanding. You wouldn't be looking for a demanding job because demanding is, it's too much for you. It leaves you like stressed and worried. But a challenging job is good in the world of jobs and CVs. It's one that leaves you still feeling like you've still got something to learn. You've still got more to give in your job. So that's what I was trying to remember. Let's have a look now at the second part of the experience summary. So we already have a template sentence. So what do we do now? Now we summarize your experience. So just in a sentence, say what kind of job you've been doing and now what kind of job that you want. So we can use a participle here. Gives it a continuous sense it's still happening. Having worked as a waitress for the last 2 years, comma, or whatever job you did, I now wish to develop my skills in a silver service, hotel, or front of house role. This example is specific to someone who's looking for a job being a waitress. And the idea is that you would tailor this sentence to the job that you're applying for. If you're applying for a job in a hotel and you want to be a waitress in a hotel, you put hotel there. But if you want to do one of these other kinds of waitressing, front of house is similar to waitressing, but you greet the guests when they come in. You would put that there. And silver service is a word for sort of fine dining establishments where the rules of serving people are a little bit different. So you adapt the summary for the job you're going to. And the whole point is so that the person looking at your CV sees, okay, you're a good fit for us. So that's a personal summary. This can go at the beginning of your CV. It's not really long. It's not a covering letter. A covering letter is much longer, as much as a page, or maybe even longer for some jobs. Anyway, for the CV. Next, let's talk about your key skills and qualities. You can use this in your CV. Some people like to bullet point a couple of key skills or qualities. You can also use this kind of structure in your covering letter, but I would change it in the covering letter, and I would use, well, I'll tell you in a sec. We'll get there and I'll tell you. So the structure of these sentences is adjective and then the job title. If you're writing in the CV, you don't need to write, I am a results-orientated salesperson. We are writing in the imperative form. We're not using the verb. Results-orientated salesperson. Efficient and thorough administrator. If you're thorough, that means that you do everything that's required. You're systematic. You don't miss details. Reliable and ambitious manager. I'm going to put my full stops there. Yeah, in the CV that's okay, but in the covering letter you can't write in imperative form. So you'd have to say, I am a results-orientated salesperson, or more indirect, I consider myself to be, in your covering letter, because you're supposed to write in full sentences in your covering letter. Yeah, here's a different variation. What we're doing here is adjective and then job title, and then with adjective, noun or compound noun. It's the general style of CVs to be very verbose, have lots of words in them. So you might say about yourself, you're a skilled programmer with excellent communication skills. So that means if you have excellent communication skills, you can speak to a lot of different people, and you can always get your message across. Perhaps you're an adaptable English teacher with a personal teaching style. Oh, pen's falling on the floor. You don't need to say a in the CV because this is an imperative form. Adaptable English teacher with personable teaching style. That means that you get along with people, that you're a friendly person basically, and people like you. I wasn't talking about myself. Don't know. Or maybe you're a proactive administrator with advanced database skills. So the idea of these sentences is that you take them and you can just put them into your CV where they need to go. Perhaps you've got some bullet pointed key skills there, or you can use these kind of sentences in your covering letter where you need to say a little bit more about yourself and your experience. When we come back, we're going to learn some more useful vocabulary that you can use on your CV, your English CV. Let's take a final look at some verbs that you can use to make some sentences for your CV or your English covering letter. So it really depends if we're talking about a CV or a covering letter. First of all, let's talk about what you can put on the CV. So here are some different verbs. You can use these for your CV. So maybe in your job you administer something. That's a job to do with, putting data into spreadsheets and things like that. Maybe you help. Maybe you work at a charity and you help people. Perhaps you manage. Your role is to be in charge of other people. You tell other people what to do and you check that they're doing their work. Maybe you supervise. You watch what other people do. Maybe you carry out. This is a phrasal verb for do, basically, doing different tasks. Maybe you run something. That means that you're the boss. You're in charge of it. I'll write that in. You're the boss. Or maybe not boss as well. You could have a particular task or duty in your job which you're in charge of. In that case, you run this program or something. Maybe you coordinate. That's another way for saying sort of like organize and make something happen. You coordinate. In your job, maybe you provide a service. These ones use a slightly different form. In your job, maybe you liaise with. This means like a formal way to speak to people from different organizations or outside your job itself. So maybe you liaise with politicians or business leaders, something like that. Maybe in your job you're in charge of something. This means that you have a responsibility to do something. Or maybe in your job you're responsible for something. Maybe the finances, maybe key holding responsibilities. You're a trusted person. So what we can do with these verbs on a CV is we can use them to build a section for key achievements. So if we're talking about your job and you're still doing it now, we can use the ing form. So for example, managing a sales team of 20. Again, I'm not writing I manage a team of 20 because we don't need to do that in a CV. I'm using the ing form because you're doing that job now. Let's do another one. What else might you do if you're a manager? Carrying out all banking duties. What else might a manager do? Providing training for staff. So you can just list some of the things you do in a key achievements part. If you're talking about a past job, what you do is you just change that to the past tense. Managed a sales team of 20, etc. Here, I've got some examples of how you can use these verbs in the covering letter form, because in the covering letter form, it's a different kind of grammar because you actually need to write in full, proper English sentences. So you could say, as assistant manager at the name of your company, I am in charge of daily banking tasks. That's a present job that you're still doing now. Or here's another option you could say, as project manager at name of company, I supervised a team of engineers. So using these verbs using these verbs can really help you sound more business-like in your CV. So you're using all the right keywords, saying the right things. That's going to make you seem like a really attractive person that they want to interview to get to know a little bit more. So what I'd like you to do now is go to the engVid website so you can do the quiz on this lesson. And before you go and do that, I'd like you to subscribe to my engVid channel. And I do wish you luck in your search for a job. It's not easy out there looking for a job, but I'm sure if you put some effort into making your your English CV the best it can be, that's giving you a really great chance. So yeah, I'm going to go now. See you later. Training.